as good as Adam Scott is.
Crazy thing is that I read here that she's not going to come back in Batman Part 2.
And that was announced the day of the awards.
Yeah.
Okay, so help me out here because I know, Ronan, you are a big fan of like this universe, this Bat universe or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a problem, right? I mean, she's massively popular in this movie. If she were going to be in this movie after winning a massive award, I feel like that would be, they would like run the movie on that. Like that would be something like Emmy Award winner, you know, and like those kinds of things. I feel like this is a problem a little bit.
Well,
I have a theory.
Maybe not.
From what I heard, and again, it's what Matt Reeves was being just hashed about for the whole time in the carpet, was just like that most of the script had been worked out by the time the show was coming out.
Right.
And maybe they didn't know how popular she was going to be and all that stuff. But then you look at it and like, yeah, I'm bummed out she's not going to be in the movie. But I'm glad, without spoilers, I'm glad she's not dead at the end of Penguin. And I'm glad that like the way it ends and the last thing we see of her is that, there's potential where she can do more with somebody else in this universe. And you know, and they've hinted at there's another character that might not be in the movie. And it's like, well, what if secretly, and Darren knows where I'm going with this, secretly they're doing another movie or another TV show, and it's like, what happens when two forces collide and maybe decide to team up together, and they're just like the mayhem that would come about all that stuff. Darren, please elaborate on
I've had the same thought, the same tinfoil hat theory, where it's like, okay, she's not in Batman Part 2, neither is the rumored Zoe Kravitz in Batman Part 2. They're, from my memory, sisters in this continuity. The end of the Penguin teases them meeting up. What if we're getting a Catwoman movie instead? Or like a Catwoman series, or right. Special. And like, out of all the characters in this universe, like, I could see it. Like, I could definitely see these two characters holding their own project. Because if not, it doesn't really make sense to me not to include at least Catwoman. Like, she's arguably the co-lead of the Batman Part 1. So like,
Joe, we I don't think we talked about it since you joined us last time, but did you watch Penguin, or were you a fan of the Batman movie? Thoughts on that?
The Batman's like Andor for me. I've tried 3 times. I did not like the movie. I like the casting. I like the music. Michael Giacchino's score is amazing. I found the film to be very, very boring. I didn't like that basically they turned the Riddler into Hush. I'm like, that's not the Riddler, that's Hush. But I don't know. It didn't work for me. But as a result, I didn't want to watch The Penguin. And I had no interest in The Penguin. Right. And then Warner Brothers sent me the complete series on Blu-ray to review. And I'm like, well, I guess I got to watch this. And I loved it. Right. So you
didn't like the movie, but you liked the show.
Exactly. Right. I loved the show, hated the movie, and I'm kind of going into Batman 2 not knowing what to think at this point.
I'm telling you, man, if they do, because again, he said there's a big detective story. It is literally, can you show that simple? Because 4 years. That'd be nice.
Batman, TV show people asked for the last 4 years. Yeah.
I will. It is right there on the walls, literally and figuratively. I'm like, there is no better vibe and scenario to do the Court of Owls story than what Matt Reeves was doing with his detective stuff. Like the notion that, like, okay, you try and inspire people through fear, but you see how the repercussions of that. It's like, no, I have to be more than that. I have to do it another way. And you see how people, again, to me, the most recent beautiful thing I've seen in fiction was him being a firefighter dressed as a bat, leading people outside, through a flood. And the notion that, like, okay, you're trying to find out who you are as a vigilante, but then you're like, wait, what city am I fighting for? And, again, all I need to hear someone saying, they're watching, the owls are watching. And, like, that is a Zodiac on crack. That is just perfect for Reeves' vibe and tone.
It'd be interesting to finally see them done, like, I'm not gonna say right, but like on a larger scale, because we did like Gotham and we did Gotham Knights the game and Gotham Knights the show, and like I like a lot of those, but it is also just like on a global scale, on a big scale, and what you could do like in the cinema. I think that could be. I don't think it is. I don't think they're going that direction, but like it could be really, really cool.
Short Car says Reeves also said they're currently discussing a second season of Penguin. Maybe she'll be. I actually think that if she's going to show up anywhere, that's probably where we're going to see her again. But it says here, bad news, Bat fans. Or anyway, the quote is, "But we'll see." I mean, she's incredible. So clearly, very, very happy with her performance, and as they should be. I mean, she was one of the best parts of the show, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably stole the show, in my opinion. I love what Colin did. I love, but then. It's what was that episode? I had the hang woman or whatever. The episode where it's focused on her. I was just like, fuck.
I kind of feel about this the same way I feel about like, you always hear people complain about the Star Wars sequels, saying how could they not put Luke and Leia and Han together in a scene? How could they not have a scene together? And I kept saying, because that's not how you write a story. You don't like come up with a scene and backtrack the story like to fit the scene. Like, it's gotta, if the scene doesn't fit the story you're telling. So if the story they're telling doesn't involve her character, then she shouldn't be there. Like, I mean, is she a great character? Yes. But if the story Matt Reeves has in mind doesn't involve her, she shouldn't be shoehorned into it.
I'm just surprised the studio didn't sort of mandate it, is what I was saying. Like the fact that she's done so well. I'm surprised they didn't come in and say she has to be in the movie because we want to put her on the posters and stuff like that.
I think really in this situation, Matt Reeves has full control about like what he wants to do.
I feel like that's the vibe that's happening here. So what we know about Batman 2 so far is the filming starts in April 2026. Bruce Wayne is finding it very hard to be Batman. You don't say. Takes Batman in a direction never done before in this way. I have no idea what that means. Any thoughts on that one? Like,
I mean, you can't use Joker that easily because as much as I love him, that horse has been played up and down with carnivals. Yeah, like I'm looking at it now and I'm like, again, the only thing I think of, sure, Court of Owls was adapted in Gotham and in video games, but dare I say, and I say this with love to Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, who created the storyline. I'm like, it's not that well known. Like, only if you hear it through the grapevines, they're like, oh, there's this thing about like the Court of Owls and like how you play that mentally of like a bat and an owl, a vigilante and a underground city.
It makes me think of Owlman when they bring that up every time. I'm like, Owlman,
yeah. Like I mean. The fact that how much they've gone to length to protect the script and like keeping a hush hush, no pun intended. I'm really, really hoping that like these statements deliver on that. Yeah, I really hope. And this day and age where social media is going off the wazoo, it's like I hope it delivers on that.
It says here another murder. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Darren.
No, I was just gonna say like that statement is the same thing they said over on like the final season of Superman and Lois. Like that was something that they were teasing us then, and that like was much easier to theorize about because it was the end of a series. It was the final season.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you could do anything, and they did. They did the identity thing. They had him lose his power. They had him like they did all these various things with him that he had never done before. This is Project 2, so I have no idea where we're going with this. Like, you can't have it be like he reveals himself as Batman because it's like, well, that wouldn't make no sense.
I do have one question when we get to the end of this thing here that I'm going to ask everybody before we move on. 3Dub, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I kind of have an iconic answer for Batman 2 as the main villain, Two-Face, which is kind of ironic because Batman 2.
Yeah, I don't know if Two-Face could carry a whole movie though. That's my only.
Well, he kind of did. He had to team up though.
Well, that's what I mean is I don't know if him by himself is enough to like. He's a good short story villain. I don't know if he could be a long form villain. I don't know.
I thought the same thing with Penguin, but then we also had Batman Returns. So
but the Penguin. Well, I guess he has. Yeah.
So it's another murder mystery digging deeper into corruption. I mean, that's kind of the deal with this Batman is he's like a street brawler detective character. So that doesn't really surprise me. A Penguin appears in 5 to 6 scenes in the movie. That's a lot of scenes for Penguin to appear in.
Yeah, that's like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Sophia Falcone will not appear, and Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson believe it will top the first film. So, which for Joe, that's not very hard because he didn't like the first film. So,
at least mention her. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Just mention me like how's Sophia doing, and it's just like
Yeah.
that's all I need. Hey Jay,
I did.
Do
What's up? I didn't like the first film either,
you know what?
that is canon.
One of
and
my
I own it over
greatest-
there on 4K. So what's my excuse?
You know what one of my greatest online regrets is? I interviewed Matt Reeves once.
Oh,
It was he Let Me In. His remake of Let the Right One In, Let Me In.
Oh.
Phenomenal movie, by the way. Was
Oh.
coming out on Blu-ray, and I managed to get an interview with him. And it was during a snowstorm here in Pennsylvania. And midway through our interview, and he was really giving me some good stuff. We lost all power, and the entire recording was wiped out.
Oh man.
See, when you were leading into that story, I thought you were saying it was your regret that you interviewed Matt Reeves. I was like, damn, okay.
No, he was great. He was. There's somebody I'll never get on an interview ever again.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, you have the memory of it burned up here, so.
Yeah.
So my question was going to be, let me click on this, Darren. My question was going to be, do you think we're going to get a third movie? And I hate to say that because I know the second one isn't out yet, but a lot of people are saying this is probably it, that he's not going to do a third film because of how long it took for this one to come out. Is there any concerns? This is obviously a huge speculatory question. Is there any concern on them putting out a third?
All I can
movie?
say is I hope that there's a third one. I'm not like holding my breath on it, but I would hope.
I guess it depends who you ask, right? Because if you ask someone who says they're going to merge, right, you'd be like, well, of course they're going to get a third. If they stay solo, it could go either direction. I honestly don't see the reason you let Matt Reeves continue to cook if you're not going to just let him do his whole vision. You know what I mean? Like, why go through all the trouble into doing part 2? And I know not everything is about a whole universe, right? Like, you can't just do this and it be done and that be the story. You can do that, obviously. But he has obviously plans for at least a trilogy and multiple other TV shows and all these things. And it's like, why even let him do 2 if you're not going to let him do the whole thing, in my mind? So I think yes, especially if 2 is financially received well. If it makes a lot of money, they're going to be like, well, yeah, give us another one. So
Well, I mean, they tried to
been a
give
while
us another one with
since
Joker,
wasn't
and that didn't
financially
work.
successful.
yes, but there is a big difference between
That
Batman
one was
movie.
made to not work. There's a difference.
Yeah, Joker 2 is a
I was
political
making a
musical
joke.
drama. I know, buddy.
It's been a while since a Batman movie hasn't been financially profitable, so I feel like
this is
they've
still COVID.
at least learned their lessons in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this and Joker were the only things in that time that made DC really any sort of bank, and they were the 2 things non-DC EU connected. So
Yeah, now they have the benefit of, one, being out of that COVID era a little bit. Like, they can get out of that a little bit. And 2, this came out where DC, I'd argue, was at an all-time low. Like, people were not fucking with the DC EU or the DC brand at the time. What was it, 2021?
So this came out in 22. I'd say they were about to enter their all-time low.
Well, true, but I just mean, like, in this, like, general facility. Like, the DCU is basically dead at this point. Like, people weren't...
The euphoria from Aquaman had worn off by now.
It's like people weren't really vibing with it. And now, after the success of Superman and hopefully a bunch of other, like Supergirl, hopefully at this point, I don't know how that does, but hopefully DC brand will be better as well, and people will be more willing to jump into this.
And I hope they keep doubling down on like the whole thing. Like, listen, we'll do the DCU, which is the main continuity, but we want to also keep another stage open for anybody who wants to tell a good story that isn't like beholden to keeping your style, but having fit in the world. And it's like the DCL's world. It's like this is like, again, the whole thing of like, will he do a 3? I hope he does, but if he doesn't, there's no rules. You don't have to do a trilogy. If you only do 2 movies and you do 2 shows, that's
good movies.
Year 1 and year 2.
Yeah,
like
repurpose that. I know like there's always been talks going around about that Arkham series, but like make a version of that for that universe. Like you can have that be your second installment. It could work. Like whether they could do it in DCU and have that be your way to build out your Batman rogues, you could do it that way, or if you want to go the more, I hate the way this term's being abused, but if you want to go the more grounded, I hate saying that now, but if you want to go with that more approach to it, then it can fit in Pattinson's world just fine.
I think the big
sorry,
I was just gonna say, I think the big thing to remember is you never know what to expect. Like, you really never know what to expect, because we had 3 movies in recent years that made $1 billion at the box office and then had sequels that bombed. And that was Captain Marvel, Aquaman, and the Joker. So like, I would think anyone would have thought Marvel's Joker 2 and Aquaman 2 were really safe bets. But you just don't know.
Well, I mean, like what I'd said before, when one of those movies is intentionally structured to fail, then that one kind of writes itself.
I don't agree with that, though. Like, I still don't understand why Joker 2 failed, quite honestly.
So, well, Todd Phillips didn't want to make the second movie, and they kept essentially saying, hey, we'll give you this amount of money, and then he finally said, all right, I'll do it. And it was kind of made as him giving them the middle finger. It was like, all right,
I don't agree with that.
This movie,
The Matrix Resurrection.
That's another one.
I don't agree with that. I watched all the special features on the Joker 2 4K disc, and that movie was made with so much love. Like, they really were putting their all into that film. Like, I do not believe the narrative that he wanted that to fail. I think he thought he had something really special on his hands.
Fair enough.
The teaser was really good. The whole thing with the lipstick on the glass and whatnot, and like.
So I've heard people that love the movie. So I mean, and then it didn't work for me personally. I was very not into it, but a lot of people have defended the movie, and there's pieces of art that I don't understand sometimes, and I'm just like, I don't get it, and I move on or whatever. But I've actually heard several people defend Joker 2.
I really liked it. Like, I didn't love it. Like, I like the first one better, but I think it's a good companion piece. Like, everything that I loved about the first movie carried on into that. In fact, I think I liked this first movie better after I saw the second movie, because some of the reveals we had in the second movie, I think, strengthened the original movie.
See, I kind of knew that I wasn't going to connect with the second movie even going into it, because I didn't like the first movie that much. I get it has its fans. I'm just not one of them. So looking at the second movie, I kind of just looked at it and said, okay, this is the thing you're being made, but also there were a lot of reasons why, that played into the not so much why it ended up bombing as hard as it did, but in such heavy contrast to the first movie, because that first movie came out when the genre was arguably at an all-time high, because you had $3 billion Marvel films that year. So, like, the genre was at an all-time high. It came out in a lightning in a bottle time period, but also it was so polarizing when it came out. You had people loving it, people hating it, and people went to see it just so they could join in the conversation. And then regardless of what one side or the other they took, they still went and monetarily supported it. And I think part of what hurt the second movie financially is when you take,
the budget.
The budget was part of what hurt it, but when you mix two genres, you have courtroom drama and musical. Courtroom dramas aren't exactly known for being high earners. The highest earning one is A Few Good Men, which was in the 600 millions range, which is nowhere near the first Joker's billion. But also musicals, which, granted, there are people that love musicals, as we've seen. There are a number of musicals that have made in the billions. But there's also a number of audience members that are turned off by that. And when you combine those two genres, that's never been done before.
I also don't think they were honest about the musical element. I think they should have leaned in harder to that.
And what was funny is whenever it got announced that Lady Gaga was coming on to play Lee, as they called her in the movie, people were saying, oh man, is she going to get a big chunk of the budget for this? Is that why it's so high? She really didn't get a lot of that budget.
No. And they don't, no offense, Joe, please, don't let anything I'm about to say affect your opinion on it. I don't think it's a good musical either. I don't
I agree with that, actually. I think the weakest part is the musical numbers should have been bigger. They should have been grander. If you're going to make a musical, dude, go all out.
Yeah.
Make it a musical.
Joker's wild.
No, 100%.
And even then, there's only three music numbers in the movie, right?
And I heard, as someone who hasn't seen the movie, which you know what?
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen. Again,
wow, that's actually surprising to me, to be honest.
I don't blame him at all.
It's weird because I dug the first one, But I remember again, it has to do with like what was happening with like, oh, watch if someone dressed up as a clown and goes there. That I was like, I don't want to roll the dice twice. But like this talk makes me want to consider watching it. But I kept hearing that like, oh yeah, some of the cool shots and moments from the trailers, they're not in the movie.
They're not in the movie. Yeah, it's another one with the trailer.
Yeah, that happens a lot, unfortunately.
And the transitions from the scenes to the musical in the movie
Were
felt
rough.
really rough. I'm
It was like
this,
music video elements.
as someone who enjoys musical, I'm like, this pulls me out. Really.
I want to apologize. I feel I derailed the whole stream and got us.
Oh no,
It's okay. That happens a lot.
You're good.